Today, the National and County Government Coordination Summit has taken place, chaired by His Excellency the President. And some of the highlights of today's meeting include what has already been read in the communique. Number one, that the process of unbundling and transferring functions from the national government to the county governments, which has been ongoing, have achieved tremendous progress. And today, a Gazette notice has issued on all the non-contested functions which have been transferred, and consequently, therefore, in accordance with the Constitution, the resources that were available for the discharge of these functions, the process of transferring those resources to county governments must ensue immediately, as already read out in the communique. Number two is with regard with the disbursement of the equitable share of revenue. As you're aware, due to a number of issues that affected the transition from the last financial year to the current financial year, there has been some delays in disbursement. And when we had IBEC on Friday, IBEC had resolved that by Thursday, 19th of December, the November disbursement be released to bring the release of funds up to speed. The Treasury has worked hard over the weekend, and that money will not have to wait for the Thursday deadline. It will be released today. Thirdly, there are a number of projects and programs where national government and county governments are working together, and therefore the summit has directed greater and seamless coordination of those programs, mainly the county aggregation and industrial parks, the affordable housing program, and the modern markets program, which are being implemented jointly by the two levels of government. So the summit has directed that there be greater and more coordinated approach to the running of those programs for purposes of delivering those services, and also for ensuring that both levels of government are satisfied that their input has been reflected. The other thing, perhaps, which I want to highlight is the issue of subsidized fertilizer. Again, this is another area where two levels of government have been cooperating. Again, the summit has pronounced itself on what needs to be done going forward, even as we expect another contingent of subsidized fertilizer to reach the country in the next 2-3 weeks. I think the key issues are around the last mile delivery and the roles of both levels of government in ensuring that our farmers get fertilizer. I think other than that, the other issues have been raised in the communique. This has been a very productive meeting. We are happy. And just by way of summary, as I finish, just to say that this summit is not just a ritual. This is a demand, a requirement by the Constitution that the two levels of government must work together through the spirit of consultation, cooperation, mutual respect, and coordination, so that the people of Kenya can benefit from devolution. And that is why, therefore, in the communique, one of the things that have been emphasized is the need for not only promoting consultations, but also strengthening the institutions for that consultation and cooperation, ensuring that the sector forums, which are specific to sectors, IBEC and other structures, are progressed harmoniously, and where there are differences of opinion, as the Constitution demands in Article 6.2, we must resolve those issues amicably in a spirit of mutual respect and avoid competition, conflict, and confrontation. Any level of government, any arm of any level of government, including independent offices, who pursues confrontation, conflict, is undermining the Constitution, which calls for coordination, collaboration, mutual respect. And if there are things we cannot resolve through alternative dispute resolution, the only adversarial arrangement or forum which is allowed for is the judicial intervention. And even that we are saying there is no need for us to reach there if we can resolve these issues amicably. Thank you very much.
The 11th Ordinary Session of the National and County Governments Coordinating Summit, held on the 16th of December 2024, resolved as follows. 1. That all the devolved functions pending transfer that have been unbundled and have mutually been agreed by the two levels of government shall be gazetted on 16th December 2024 to facilitate the seamless transfer to the counties. That gazette notice is already out. 2, that the corresponding resources related to the unbundled and gazetted functions shall be transferred to the county governments commencing July 2025. 3, that the pending valuation of the defunct local authorities' assets and those related to devolved functions shall be fast-tracked and concluded by the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee to facilitate transfer to the county governments by 30th of June 2025. That the two levels of government shall facilitate the establishment and operationalization of the respective consultative intergovernmental sector forums to facilitate seamless intergovernmental relations between the two levels of government. That the National Treasury shall today, 16th December 2024, disburse all the pending equitable share allocation monthly disbursement for the month of November 2024 to the 47 county governments. That the two levels of government shall explore alternative dispute resolution as a mechanism to unlock most of the existing intergovernmental disagreements to enhance intergovernmental collaboration between the two levels of government. That the State Department of Devolution, the Council of Governors, and the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee shall harmonize the technical proposals on the amendments of the Intergovernmental Relations Act 2012 to be forwarded to the National Assembly. That the National Treasury shall fast-track in the current financial year the transition to accrual basis of accounting and implementation of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, IPSAS, by the two levels of government. The National Treasury shall ensure that the county governments are capacity built to facilitate effective transition. That the national government shall facilitate the disbursement of all pending entitlement to the Equalization Fund to facilitate the operationalization and implementation of the fund. That the Ministry of Agriculture and the Council of Governors shall carry out further consultations to facilitate adequate and timely distribution of the subsidized fertilizers to the farmers. That the National Treasury shall facilitate a consultative meeting between the Kenya Revenue Authority and county governments on accrued taxes related to on-source revenue. That the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development shall fast-track the implementation of the Sectional Properties Act, that the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development shall fast-track the implementation of the Sectional Planning Act, requiring landowners to register their units. All existing certificates under the Registration of Documents Act shall be phased out. That the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary shall oversee the issuance of guidelines on adherence to the provisions of the Fiscal Planning Act, requiring regulation of physical developments by both levels of government and by public and private entities. That the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development shall fast-track the development of the requisite intergovernmental framework to facilitate disbursement of the earmarked 0.5% administration costs allocation to the county, rural and urban affordable housing committees currently established across the 47 counties to facilitate their administrative services. That for effective implementation and operationalization of county aggregation and industrial parks, CAIPs, the two levels of government shall develop enabling policy and legal frameworks. That the national government shall in the third quarter, starting January 2025, review budgetary allocation towards county aggregation and industrial parks, CAIPs, by an additional 1 billion. The resources shall be disbursed to support counties that are at an advanced stage of development of the industrial parks, with a further focus on the remaining counties. That all the drugs procured through Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, KEMSA, by the county governments shall be branded not for sale. That all pending stipend owed to the community health promoters shall be paid before 25th December 2024. And last but not least, resolution or communique resolution 19, that a collaborative framework shall be developed by the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors on the National Equipment Support Program.